great to be with you again, Samih. Taban, we're really excited to be here at the festival. It seems to be growing every year. But I want to go back to the beginning a little bit because the first year we interviewed Naguib and he talked to us a little bit about the challenges between the two brothers and coming up with the idea, or you agreeing to the idea, because I know I've seen interviews where you describe yourself as a dreamer and he describes himself as a dreamer. What happens when the two dreamers get together?
We synchronize and we are much more effective, obviously, because he covers the aspect where he's definitely better than me. And I do the logistics, I host the whole festival. The town is finally the place where it takes place, and now more and more the town is taking the lead, and I find it a natural development, you know.
Yeah. So are you excited about seeing it grow now from year to year?
Of course, because anything we do has to get a little bit better every year.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel that even this year we've had a few advances and improvements, and it's very obvious that it's become easier for us to organize it. Even though Amr Mansi, the poor guy who's organizing everything, is always running around stressed, but at the end of the day, I feel even he is a bit better prepared every year than the year before.
Would you consider this a labor of love or something that was done purely as a strategic cultural investment to kind of raise the profile of Guna?
Well, we didn't look at it this way, to be honest. When it started, it was much more philanthropic than anything else. But I must say that we were incredibly surprised of the impact on El Guna that the film festival had. Yani, we benefited much more than we thought we would, but we were happy to embrace the idea because it's a great idea, and it's something that I feel that Egypt deserved really more than what it was getting in terms of recognition for the pioneership that Egypt had in the movie business since ages. I mean, we keep forgetting that once upon a time, and that's not like 200 years ago or 5,000 years ago, like the pyramids, once upon a time, just 60, 70 years ago, we were the only film producers in the Middle East and Africa. Wow. And look where we are today. And I feel that these kind of festivals promote the country as a destination, and hopefully moving forward this will bring us back to the glory that we had one day.
That's amazing. I think one of the things you've done is you've really raised the level of glamour and red carpet and people dressing up like as the olden days of cinema.
It was important to show the world that we have not gone. We're not gone. We can come back, and we come back quickly.
Yeah.
And that I think we proved.
And in terms of the boost to the actual tourism to Guna, do you think, was it the combination of the festival and the international stars who came, or do you think the festival as itself, as a cultural moment and a week celebrating movies was enough?
The latter.
Really?
The latter,
okay,
yes.
Amazing.
I think the easy way to impress is to go and spend a couple of millions on a couple of celebrities coming for a night or two and leaving. But the real lasting positive effect comes from the recognition by the industry and by the world that these guys are serious about movies, these are serious about cinema, these are serious producers, serious topics. So that stays. Yeah. The other one is just a one-off.
Yeah, it's fun for the guests, I guess. But okay, so you said the impact on tourism was better than you expected. Yeah. How much of an improvement did you see?
You feel it. I mean, I can't give you numbers. Okay. I'm not really a number.
But it's something that's continuing year on year?
Yes. Okay. But anyhow, you know, the whole situation in Egypt is improving drastically in the tourism sector. Mm-hmm. So we have kind of benefited from the wave. We're surfing the wave that is already there.
Yeah. Well, now what I see is, of course, what sets you apart from all the other, developer companies in Egypt is that you have an international vision. And From what I saw in Andermatt, you're also the cultural element is also important there. Is this a strategy that now you want to do in all your developments?
Yes. I find that a town that does not have culture, actually quite a poor town. And I don't like to develop poor towns. I mean, even when we did Haram City, which is really a place for affordable housing more than for the rich, one of the first ingredients we put there was the theater and movie theater, because we believe that culture is something that makes a place a better place. Yeah.
Yeah, adds to the community. But is this also something from your love of music and movies? Is that related to that?
It makes it easier to understand the value.
Yeah.
I mean, if you appreciate the value, then it's easier for you to embrace the topic and fight for it.
Yeah.
If I didn't care about music or movies or reading or whatever, then probably it would have hurt to spend so much money on a subject that I have no interest in.
Yeah. No, because
Sure, it helps.
because we also heard that there's a concert hall being built in Laguna, which is something you wouldn't expect normally in a beach town.
Yes.
But I was curious if that's related to your.
It's related to my yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the library.
Yeah.
I mean, we put.
Oh, I didn't know we have a library here.
We have a branch of the Alexandria Library.
Wow.
A proper branch.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
you go to this library, it's as if you're in Alexandria, because everything is linked. On the internet, you have access to all the books of the Alexandria Library. You can go and read for hours and hours manuscripts that don't exist anywhere else. And I believe this is also enriching to the community and makes it a better place.
Yeah. And is this concert hall where the festival ceremony is going to move?
Yes,
eventually?
everything will move there. It will be a concert hall, a conference hall. It will be the venue for the film festival. It will be venue for other festivities. It's just going to be like a festival place.
Okay. And I heard also that your challenge by 65 is to play the piano. And is that concert hall where we're going to see this performance?
I should hope so.
Yeah? Guna will be first or Andermatt?
Laguna first.
Okay. And then you're going to move?
Yeah.
Okay. How is that going, by the way? Are you on track?
Well, I'm struggling, but I think I'm optimistic that I'll make it.
How many hours a day are you practicing?
1 to 2.
Even in Guna?
Yeah, of course. In Laguna.
Oh, so you have a piano at home here?
Everywhere.
Okay. That's very impressive. Okay, tell us a little bit now about your international projects.
Which one do you want me to start?
Okay, Yani, which one are you most focused on right now?
Well, you know, now that I have a partner who's the CEO, and he's totally engaged and involved, my role has diminished a bit, so that he's really driving. I'm only involved in the strategy when it comes to financing, or when it comes to problems where it requires some governmental dealings. There I'm, I think, a bit more useful than others. So he still uses me for this. And therefore, it's really a function of where am I needed most.
But where would you like the company to develop, since you're still involved in the strategy?
A lot of these places are still projects and not towns. And ultimately, my vision for the company is that in 10 years from today, we have 8 or 9 towns in the world that where we have people who live there the whole year happily, and where governments are happy to have us there because this town is exemplary and the people are happy and they're making money from taxes, from revenues from tourism, etc. So this is the vision for the company.
And is that happening now in Montenegro and Oman and everywhere? Okay, that's amazing.
It takes a lot of time.
Taban,
It's 30 years old, don't forget.
That's amazing.
To build a town, you don't build towns in 5 years or 10 years. Because there is something called the spirit of the town, and that takes much more than one thinks.
But when you have these towns in these beautiful kind of beach locations, is it a challenge that it doesn't end up a town where people go like kind of retirement? I mean, or you don't mind that?
No. You have to be careful not to label the town with any kind of label.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be the disco town.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want it to be the retirement town. You
Yeah.
don't want it to be the German town or like the local town.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful and if you want to be unique, you must pay a lot of attention to attract everybody and offer something for everybody so that no single group overwhelms the character or the spirit of the town with its way of living.
Yeah.
You know, you can't please everybody, but I believe that at the end of the day, people appreciate the fact that they still find something that makes them happy to be here, and they appreciate the diversity.
Yeah.
Like the name of the game when you have a town is to have a diverse population in it.
Yeah. And what's the formula for that?
Just pay attention that all needs of the different groups are being taken care of, regardless of whether you really care about this or not. But when you recognize that there is a group of people that wants it, you give it to them.
Yeah. I guess that's why schools are important too, so you can have families and all that. Okay. So all these locations that you started were locations which you thought were challenging, where people doubted your vision for them. So
I'm used to it.
yeah, you're used to it. You like it. How does it feel when it all works out? There must be some satisfaction in that.
No, it's just funny because you know when it works, everybody all of a sudden tells you, "I always knew it's going to work," and it's not really that true.
Yeah. Do you remind them of what they said?
No, I just smile and move on. There's no need to tell him, I know that you were making fun of me in my absence about this and so on. No, why? Success has a lot of fathers, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But I also heard that you believe so much of success is luck. With all the planning and your vision and all the hard work you put in, do you really see luck as that important?
60%
60%?
of your success is luck.
You mean luck in the sense of timing, being at the right place at the right time, or being...
The right place, the right time is not something that you control.
Yeah, yeah.
And therefore, it is a very important factor, much more important than anybody wants to admit. But this is my theory, 60% luck, then there is persistence and perseverance and guts. Those three combined, you know, make up something like 12% of your chance to success, of being successful. And then there's the intelligence and the work. And you know, in the intelligence scale, you don't need to be a genius. If you're like 8 out of 14 and plus, you're going to be able to use your luck much better. And of course, finally, work is still important. 14% is work. So you work the 14% to its 100%. You make much more out of your luck and out of your persistence, perseverance, and so on. But if you don't have guts, for example, you're too scared to grab your luck.
Exactly.
It's going to come and go. If you're sleeping the whole day in bed, your luck will come and go.
Yeah.
You know, so they are. It is a combination, but I believe honestly that call it luck, call it a gift from God, call it coincidence, call it whatever you call it, but it's not you.
Okay.
So 60% of your success.
Guys, nobody can become Samih Sawiris.
If you're lucky, you will become Samih Sawiris or even better.
We want to give them some hope.
Well,
give you a role
then
model.
pray hard.
Okay.
No, I'm definitely not a role model. I can tell you.
No, you are, of course. There's so many of us.
Oh, because you know, it would be frustrating to think that luck is. If they don't believe in luck, and they work like dogs, more than me, and they're smarter than me, and they're courageous and everything more than me, and they don't make it, it's going to kill them. But if they're not lucky, they're not going to make it anyway. So it's I don't know. I just believe in this theory so much. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I've had life experiences with the impact of those items, right timing, right location, being incredibly important.
Yeah.
Now look at the guys who buy shares and then the market collapses and they go bankrupt, or the guys who buy shares after the crisis because they had the courage and then luckily the markets go up and they make a lot of money. It's a lot of luck in that.
Yeah, but I think it's different when you're creating a business because it's more. I really believe in that quote, "Chance favors the prepared mind."
Yes.
So it's the luck mixed with the ability to recognize.
What we are discussing
Yeah.
is only the percentages.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what you just said is exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Maybe more structured, but because you just said it in 2 words. Chance favors the prepared. Okay, you are prepared if you're intelligent. You're prepared if you're persistent. You're prepared if you're working.
yeah.
But
yeah.
how much is that important versus luck? This is the big debate
Yeah.
that many people
Yeah,
chance.
yeah. So in your career, you felt it's been 60%.
Yes. If you ask my father, he will tell you 80.
Really?
Yes.
Why would he say that?
I mean, look how he said it once to some a lady that I was explaining my theory, and she didn't buy it, and she said ha ha ha, and then she turned to my father and asked him, "Your son thinks that luck makes up 60% of success. What do you think?" And he told her 80. Otherwise, those three would have never been half as rich as I am. And it's truly so. I mean, look at him having started at 19 or 20 and made this huge construction company, to lose it all to nationalization during Nasser. Is this not bad luck?
Yeah.
And then starting again in Libya and then having Gaddafi come and ruin everything. Was this not bad luck?
Yeah, but don't you think his ability to regain all his fortune is also due to his own, capabilities, his intelligence, his perseverance? That's what I'm
Of
saying.
course.
You can overcome bad luck, right?
No, you can
Yeah.
overcome well, but he had another bit of luck, which is the fact that we came back well educated and we started businesses where he invested, that we started from scratch, like
Yeah.
this business of Guna, I started from scratch, the telecom, the internet, and then later the mobile business, Naguib started from scratch, the big construction firm, Nasser started from scratch. So in a way, he invested with these kids and made a lot
Yeah.
of money again. But ultimately, for sure, I believe him when he says, "Look how easy it was for you to be successful versus how difficult it was for me. You had more luck than me," which means luck is important.
Yeah, yeah. But don't you think
If
you
I was
also-
born, let's say, 20 years earlier, none of this would have happened.
You really think so?
Of course. I mean, Nasser would have never allowed it. And during Sadat, it was a bit chaotic, the whole business scene. So there was no structured way of doing business that is long term. And this is a long term business.
But I think you're smart enough. You would have found your way doing something else.
Not in this magnitude. No. I mean,
Yeah.
we did not become like such a big company if it was not for the timing, for sure.
Yeah. But you've also faced your own challenges. Egypt has been through a roller coaster the
Yeah,
last
but
few
nobody
years.
walked even during the Muslim Brothers. They didn't just they didn't have even the thought or the guts to come and say, "Let's take Guna and
Yeah.
give it to the people."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
this
Yeah.
kind of attitude is
course.
over and done with,
Yeah.
and that's our luck that
Yeah.
we are in an era where people have discarded these crazy economic theories that ruined many countries, including ours.
So how did you survive the downturn after the revolution and
It was a tough time.
Yeah.
I mean, those 3 years were the toughest 3 years of my life by far.
Really?
By far.
even though you've diversified your business so much?
I'm Egyptian. I love Egypt, and El Guna is still a major component in the company. And it was a tough time. I can tell you, every time I think back about this period, and people underestimate the damage. It's easy to blame the government today for this or that, but they forget that this country for 6, 7 years was doing nothing basically, but fighting internally and talking and not working.
Yeah.
And I mean, from the day, from January 11th till more or less the end of 2013, so it's 11, 12, and 13, 3 years, we were not doing anything in this country. Nobody was really working, nobody was producing. Even the new government had to like fight with the outside world, the intrigues of the secret services that still wanted to support the Muslim Brothers. The Muslim Brothers were still very active. So even that government had a tough time in the beginning focusing on government duties and government things.
Yeah, yeah.
So we lost 3 years in this country, and 3 years, you know, we have I think about, if I'm not mistaken, 200 and something billion-dollar GDP. So we lost not the whole 660 billion dollar GDPs of those 3 years, but for sure we had a big dent. And the people are paying for it now.
Can you tell us honestly if you think we're on the right track now?
Well, there is no such thing as the right track. There's mobility. You know, this is not like a straightforward highway where you know exactly how many kilometers you did. We're driving in the desert, whether we like it or not. We don't know what the world is going to do with us or for us or against us. We don't know how the actual attitude of people is going to improve and become more focused on work and focused on being a bit more nationalistic in the real term and not just by speech.
Yeah.
We don't know if we are going to stop this population growth that is choking any progress on the economic growth. There's so many unknowns that it is practically impossible to say what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see yourself. Look, if it wasn't for the improvement of the government's performance, tourism would have not recovered.
Yeah.
We would have been running out of electricity every day. People would have been standing in lines to get some fuel. The black market would have prospered again. The dollar would have had 100 prices. So I think we did a lot of good.
Yeah, no, it seems, I mean, from a lay person's point of view, it seems that real estate development and tourism are on the rise.
Other sectors need a lot of
The
attention.
others, you know, those are the ones you see
Yeah,
on
but you know,
billboards, you see
it's-
with the big campaigns.
We
and
had a
everything.
crisis, and post-crisis, there is a horrible medicine that you have to swallow. And during that period where you're being treated, don't expect much growth from the sectors that are already difficult and therefore cannot prosper in difficult times. How can you start a factory with the interest rate of 19%? You know, it takes a year and a half, 2 years to build a factory. You're spending money all the time. Then you need to import materials and you start developing a market. So that's another year or two. So 4 years with 18, 19% before you say good morning, you've already spent double the amount of money that an equivalent factory in another country would have spent to get into business. So you have a tough time. So I think that it should get better once the interest rates go down for those two sectors, agriculture and industry. Because industry is definitely not a branch that anybody would venture into with 19% interest rates.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Are the challenges of Egypt part of the reason why you wanted to go international? Or is that completely like separate?
No. I think we had a very successful model, and really I saw that it is easily transferable in other countries where we would go as foreigners and still come in with a huge upfront knowledge and track record that makes us more credible than locals who've never done it before.
Yeah.
So there was a golden opportunity to reuse the model of Guna in other countries.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea.
And it's amazing to me. I also read that the government of Switzerland hired you as a consultant originally.
They invited me, not hired.
Sorry, invited you. Sorry, I mean, invited. I mean, is it? That's amazing. So you're kind of on the map as the only person who's really created a town from scratch, right?
Well, I think so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think in Malaysia, I read about a guy who did a town there as well, a full town. But I'm yet to like find out more and then probably go and visit it. Well, I don't know, but this is the only.
I mean, I was so proud to see that. Like, aren't you proud of that? I thought that was amazing.
It's nice to be recognized as somebody who has done something. That's for sure true, and I think it's not a bad thing to admit that it gives you a kick, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And you've been able to execute that there and in other countries. It shows that the model is viable anywhere. It's not just in Egypt. Yeah. So now,
But you know, I can give you again my thesis about luck. If we did everything we did 5 years earlier, we would have been 10 times bigger in size today,
you mean in Egypt or abroad?
worldwide. Worldwide.
Really?
If we had started 5 years earlier, if we had started 4 years later, we would have probably failed. And that shows you why I give luck the upper hand. Look at the financial crisis.
Maybe you're smart enough to choose the right timing.
No, no. I mean, no, I didn't choose it. I didn't choose it.
It was the opportunity that came.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Oman as an example. I can tell you that when we launched Oman, the first weekend we sold as much as we sold later because of the crisis that hit Dubai and spilled over to Oman, and which was the result of the international crisis, which is the result of the American crisis, which is all stuff that you don't foresee, predict, or even know when it's going to happen or what to do against it. And if we had started 5 years earlier, the sky would have been our limit. If we had started a year later, there wouldn't be Oman project today. Because then in the absolute middle of a crisis, you don't start a huge real estate project like this. So where's my intelligence there? Zero. It's pure luck that I managed to be just a year before the crisis versus, let's say, the day of the crisis or a year after the crisis.
Okay, but you at least know how to choose beautiful destinations.
That's let's say the persistence to go further and further and continue to look, and that's the intelligence to decide really if this is a good place or not.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's far from being enough.
yeah, So in your search now for the next big destination, do you have your eyes on any places?
No, I mean, I don't wake up in the morning and look at the world map and say, so what's next? These things always happen by coincidence. You know, like you meet somebody who knows somebody who heard of us or what we've done, and then he gets you together with this president or prime minister or whatever, and then you explore the opportunities and you find them interesting, you do it. You don't.
But I'm sure you get a lot of offers, right?
Yes, tons.
Yeah.
Tons of offers.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I go for everything.
No, but like of the offers you have on the table, what's looking exciting?
We don't speak about it. I mean, we're a publicly listed company. We cannot be seen making claims of new projects when they have not materialized yet, you know.
Okay. But more is to come. Can we say that?
Not much more, because don't forget we still have 100 million square meters worldwide to develop.
Yeah.
That's a couple of Cairos.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, we need to be a bit more prudent about expansion in order to utilize the resources we already have, which is much easier than starting a greenfield project.
Yeah. But we've also noticed there seems to be a bigger investment again in Egypt.
Yes, because the new CEO, Khalid, has much more taste for challenge and competition than I ever did. I don't like competition, and I don't like really to go into sectors where others have already been active for a long time. But he's not like me. He doesn't mind the challenge, and he says we're better, we're stronger, we have a better name, and let's do it. I mean, this O West project, for example, or now also Makadi, are projects that are typically done already and not something like unheard of. And still, he proved his point with a bit of hard work and endurance and banking on the brand name of El Guna. He managed to convince people that even though it's our first primary home Cairo development.
And a last question on the business side. The three of you, so successful. Is there a competition, like brotherly competition? Has there ever
There
been?
would have been a competition had we been in the same sector. And there would have been a competition, an ugly competition, had one of us been a failure.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we are very lucky that each one is successful in his
Yeah.
domain,
Yeah.
and these are different domains.
Yeah,
I
completely.
mean, telecom is a huge business,
Yeah.
so you can't say that Naguib's company was much bigger than my company, so it's a much better company than my company.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just happens to be a sector
Yeah.
where you talk billions, and I'm in a sector where you talk millions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, as such, the success is not measured by money only. It would have been measured by money if I was, let's say, worth $1 million and he's worth I don't know how many
Yeah.
billions,
Yeah,
and then it would be
Yeah.
no longer really success
Yeah.
because they would have so much more than I do, or vice versa, whatever. But since the material part that success brings you is more or less
It's the same.
the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I have to take the public bus to go to work and they're flying in, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
as such, there's
Yeah.
no serious competition.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. So even as kids, you didn't like compete and stuff.
No, we healthy competition.
Healthy.
Healthy, yeah.
Okay.